Good morning, dear student. I am Vikram Singh, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce from Mewar University. In this class, we cover capital budgeting. Under this topic, these are the content, meaning and definition of capital budgeting, objective or significance of capital budgeting, then capital budgeting process, overview of methods of capital budgeting, payback period, post payback period, accounting rate of return, and modern method. These are the content we cover in this lecture. Now let's we start one by one. What is capital budgeting? Under this capital budgeting, we have three important points. What is capital? The next one, what is budgeting? And capital budgeting. Now, first we understand what is capital. Capital means it is the money invested in a company to generate income. It means money invested in long-term assets in a various capital expenditure incurred on. We invest money in purchase of fixed assets such as land, building, plant, machinery, furniture, goodwill, etc. The expenditure relating to expansion, addition, improvement, alteration to the fixed assets. We can invest money in this form: addition, expansion, improvement, alteration. The replacement of fixed assets, research and development project, these all are capital expenditure. If we purchase of any property, if we change in our business module in addition, expansion, improvement, alteration of fixed assets, replacement, research and development activities, these all are capital expenditure. Here we require to invest money. This is about capital. Now the next word, budgeting. Budgeting, it is just a process of creating a plan to spend your money. If you're doing any work, first we require plan. In the context of finance, creating a plan to spend your money in the business, it means budgeting. In other words, budgeting we can also define, it is blueprint of plan and action to invest money in above capital expenditure. We have different capital expenditure. First we prepare a blueprint of plan and action. This is budgeting. Now the next word, capital budgeting. Capital budgeting, it is a process relating to the long-term investment of capital fund in which future profitability of capital investment proposal is studied. Listen carefully. Under this capital budgeting, we understand the investment proposal and compare of earning which cost in relation to the cost of capital. And finally, a decision is taken whether to invest or not. This is capital budgeting. First we analyze each and every aspect for regarding a particular proposal. And then finally we take one decision whether invest or not. That is capital budgeting. Now after this definition part, objective of capital budgeting, or we can say significance of capital budgeting. Here we have different objectives. The first one is wealth maximization of shareholder. The main objective of capital budgeting is the wealth maximization regarding shareholder. Here we have to increase the wealth of shareholder. This is the first objective. The next one, evaluation of proposed capital expenditure. In a business, we have different proposal. The capital budgeting main objective is, according to this technique, we evaluate of proposal. The next one, determination of priority. Suppose we evaluate 5 proposal. After evaluating, we have to give priority. Priority means first rank, second rank, third rank, fourth rank, fifth rank, according to evaluation. Now then, cost control. If we doing this capital budgeting work, we can also control cost through applying various capital budgeting tools and techniques. The next one, analysis of past decision. Under this capital budgeting, we can also analyze our past decision, and then according to this we take decision regarding future. The next, capital structure planning. The capital budgeting, the also main objective for regarding capital structure planning. Under this capital structure, we have 2 important components, debt and equity. We can arrange finance through in 2 ways, debt or equity. Debt means we can take loan from bank, loan from financial institution, we can issue debenture, we can issue bond. This is a connection with debt. And another part, equity. Under equity, we can arrange finance through issue of share in public. This is all about the objective or significance of capital budgeting. Now the next one is capital budgeting process. We have one standard process when we are doing capital budgeting work. If we analyze for a particular project, or suppose we want to purchase machine from market. In market we have different type of machine, different quality. According to quality we have different type of machine. The first work, it is the identification of various investment proposal. The first work, what type of machines available in the market. Then you have to screen or match according to your business terms, according to your objective. After that, you evaluate of each and every proposal. Suppose you identify 10 machine according to your business, then you have to evaluate of each machine. After evaluation, you fix priority rank starting from first to 10. Then after this priority, you send this detail to management for final approval. If management approve any one proposal, then the next work is implementation. It means if management select any one machine, you can purchase this machine, then you apply for in production. That is implementation. After implementing, the next work is performance review of feedback. Here we require feedback. This is the process of capital budgeting. After that, we have different method regarding capital budgeting. The method here we classified into two parts, traditional method and modern method. Traditional method, payback period, post payback period, accounting rate of return. Then under modern method we have net present value method, profitability index method, internal rate of return method. Let's restart one by one. Payback period. Payback period method means the main concept is pay back. Suppose we invest 5 lakh rupees. How many time, how many year this 5 lakh rupees we recover? This is the main concept here. I'm just reading here. The payback period is the time required to recover the initial investment. As it is same, it is one of the non-discounted cash flow method. It means under this we don't cover time value money concept. The basic element of this method is calculating the recovery time. Just under this we calculate recovery time by year-wise accumulation of cash inflow until the cash inflow equals the amount of our investment. The time taken to recover such as original investment is the payback period for the particular project. The shorter the payback period is more desirable for a project. Listen carefully. Suppose we have 3 projects. Out of 3 projects, the shorter the payback period, it is suitable for a business. Suppose for regarding we have 3 projects, project A, B, C. For A project payback period 3 years. For project B payback period is 5 years. Project C payback period is 2 years. It means in C project we have shorter time, 2 years. So we have to select this C project. Here we have some small example here. First we explain formula for calculation of payback period. The formula is initial investment divided by annual cash inflow. We take small example. Our project cost is 30,000. This is our initial investment. The cash inflow are 10,000 every year. Life of this project 5 years. From this detail we can calculate payback period. Initial investment 30,000 divided by our annual cash inflow, it is 10,000, then payback period is a 3 year. Now after that, for unequal cash inflow, in previous example you can check our every year cash inflow is 10,000 rupees. If cash inflow it is unequal, then we can follow this process. For regarding this we take one small example. Certain project require our initial cash outflow is 25,000. Cash outflow means this is the initial investment. The cash inflow for 6 years, it is first year 5,000, second year 8,000, third year 10,000, then 12,000, then 7,000, then 3,000. For calculation of payback period, here first we draw one table. Under this mention year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then mention cash inflow according to example. Then we require here cumulative cash inflow. After calculating this cumulative cash inflow, then you can use this information for calculating payback period. The above calculation show that in year 3 year, up to 3 year, 23,000 has been recovered. Listen carefully, you can check under this table. Up to third year, 23,000 we recover. Our initial investment is 25,000. It means we require more 2,000. This 2,000 we recover from next 4 years. Under this 4 years, you can check total 12,000 amount we receive. Out of this 12,000, we require just 2,000. So here we apply 2,000 divided by 12,000. The formula is payback period is 3 years plus 2,000 divided by 12,000 multiply 12 months. If you multiply 12 months, then our answer in month. So after this exercise, our final result, it is 3 years and 2 months. This is our payback period. Listen, this payback period method, for regarding this payback period method, we have advantage or disadvantage. The first one is this method, it is very easy and simple to calculate. The understanding, it is simple. The second, payback period method, it is reduce the possibility of losses on account of obsolescence. This method, it is used in banking sector, in a particular loan department. The demerit is, it ignores the time value of money. Listen carefully, this is very important part. This method ignore time value of money. If we receive money in first year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year, and we calculate according to current year, it is inappropriate method for according to time value of money. This method is also ignore all cash inflow after the payback period. Here we just calculate payback period. But after payback period, we also receive money. In this example, you can see the money is received first year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year, sixth year. But here we consider 3 years and 2 months. 3 years and 2 months our payback period. After this payback period, here we don't consider this. Now, the next method, post payback period profitability. For regarding post payback period profitability, under this we cover after payback period what profit we have. So for regarding this, we are taking one example from the following particular. Calculate payback period, post payback profitability and post payback profitability index. From this information, we have information cash outflow 1 lakh rupees. It means this is our initial investment. Annual cash inflow, it is after tax before depreciation. It means annual cash inflow 25,000. Every year we receive 25,000. Estimated life 6 years. It means this 25,000 we receive up to 6 years. Now the payback period, you can calculate initial investment divided by annual cash inflow. Our initial investment 1 lakh. Then annual cash inflow 25,000, you divide it, and payback period is 4 years. Now after this, the post payback profitability, you can calculate from using this formula, cash inflow multiply estimated life minus payback period. You can check our cash inflow 25,000 every year, estimated life 6 years, payback period 4 years. You minus this, the remaining 2, then 2 multiply 25,000, it is 50,000. This is our post payback profit. Now under third, you can calculate post payback profitability index. For regarding this, the formula is post payback profitability divided by initial investment multiply 100. By using this formula, you can calculate post payback profitability. Post payback profitability, we have 50,000 divided by initial investment 1 lakh, then multiply 100, our answer is 50%. This is post payback profitability index. Now this is all about the post payback period. Now the next one is accounting rate of return. This average rate of return or accounting rate of return is also called as a average rate of return, return on investment, financial statement method. We have different name, but in general way the word is used ARR, accounting rate of return. For calculation of this, the formula we have average earning after depreciation divided by average investment multiply 100. Under this we require average. What is our average earning? The average earning, it is after depreciation. Then we require average investment multiply 100. So under this average earning means total earning for the estimated life of the project divided by estimated life of the project. Through this you can calculate average earning. Then average depreciation we can calculate yearly depreciation amount. Yearly depreciation amount is initial investment minus scrap value divided by life of the investment. We can calculate here every year depreciation by using this formula: initial investment minus scrap value divided by life of the project. No, in life of the investment. Okay. The next one is average investment. Average investment we can calculate by using this formula: initial investment plus scrap value. Listen carefully. Initial investment plus scrap value divided by 2. Now, for regarding this, we take one example. Under this example, initial investment 15,000, annual cash inflow before depreciation 5,000, estimated life 10 year. After 10 year, for regarding this project, the scrap value or any scrap value or salvage value, it is 2,000. For this project, the main formula our this 5,000 minus 1,300 divided by 5,800 multiply 100, it is 40%. Under this you can check this 5,000 is our average earning. Every year 5,000 multiply 10 divided by 10, it is average 5,000. Then we require 1,300, this 1,300 it is average depreciation. You can check average depreciation, initial investment minus scrap value, initial investment 15,000, scrap value 2,000, then divided by 10, 1,300 it is our average depreciation. Then we require 8,500. This 8,500 means average investment. The average investment we can calculate through initial investment plus scrap value divided by 2. Our initial investment 15,000, scrap value 2,000 divided by 2, it is 8,500. Through this we can calculate accounting rate of return. Now this is all about the accounting rate of return. Now after that, modern method. It is also known as a discounted cash flow or time adjusted rate of return. It means under this we consider time value of money concept. Under this we have different method: net present value method, profitability index method, internal rate of return method. Under this net present value method, for calculation of net present value method, here we have one formula: total present value of cash inflow minus initial investment. So we require total present value of cash inflow. Listen carefully. If we evaluate any project, for regarding project, we earn money in year wise: first year, second year, third year, 4th year, 5th year. according to life of the project. So every year we receive money. Under this method, we consider the all money we receive in today. It means present value. What is the present value of cash inflow? Then you subtract initial investment. Now, then profitability index. Under this profitability index, total present value of cash inflow divided by initial investment. This is simple. Now, we take here one example. X Limited is planning to increase its present capacity and is considering the purchase of new machine. We have two, A and B are available at a price of, for regarding A machine 80,000, for regarding B machine 90,000. This is our initial investment. The company can buy either of two machines. The cut-off rate required by the company is 20%. This is discounting factor rate. Earning after tax but before depreciation, it is for regarding machine A and machine B. Every year cash inflow for regarding machine A, total 5 year cash inflow 1,40,000, and for regarding machine B it is 1,56,000 in 5 years. Now after this table we have present value of rupees 1 at a discount of 20% per year. For first 5 years it is 0.833, 0.694, 0.579, 0.482, 0.402. This is the discounting factor rate for rupees 1. Here our main question is, which of the two machines should the company buy? Now for regarding this, first we prepare one table. The table is you mention first year first, second, third, fourth, 5. Then you mention present value according to question for 5 years. Then machine A cash inflow and machine B cash inflow. Then you multiply from discounting factor rate. After multiplying and then you add for 5 years, our present value of machine A, it is 84,162, and for machine B present value it is 86,024. Now from this value you can subtract initial investment, that is cash outflow. For regarding machine A 80,000, for regarding machine B 90,000. After subtracting this, our net present value for regarding machine A 4,162, and in case of machine B it is in negative 3,976. So out of these two machines, the machine A, it is most valuable for company. If under this the positive value, we can accept the project, and if we have negative value, then we have to reject the project. So machine A company can buy. And according to PI method, profitability index method, here we have formula: present value of cash inflow divided by initial investment multiply present value of cash inflow and divided by initial investment. According to this, for regarding machine A, our final value is 1.052, and for regarding machine B, value is 0.956. Under this, if we have value more than 1, then we can accept the project. If your value is less than 1, then we reject the project. So our final comment for regarding profitability index, machine A is more than 1, it is 1.052, and for machine B it is less than. So machine A is profitable for the company according to profitability index method. This is all about net present value and profitability index. Now the next, internal rate of return method. Internal rate of return method, it is a percentage discount rate applied in capital investment decision which bring the cost of a project and its expected future cash inflow into equality. Here we have one discounted rate. The value is 0. NPV value is 0. So under this we have to exercise for taking discounting factor rate, different discounting factor rate, and calculate NPV is 0. So for regarding this we take one small example. Our project cost, it is 1,10,000. Every year cash inflow for 4 year. First year 60,000, second year 20,000, third year 10,000, then 4 year 50,000. According to this information, calculate internal rate of return. Now, internal rate of return will be calculated by here hit and trial method, trial and error method. The cash flow is not uniform. Every year the cash inflow it is changed. First year 60, second year 20, then third year 10,000, then next year 50,000. So here we have an approximate idea about such rate. What is the rate? We can calculate here the factor. It the present the same relationship of investment and cash inflow in case of payback calculation. The factor you can calculate initial investment divided by cash inflow. So here I means original investment, initial investment, C means average cash inflow per year. 1,10,000 divided by 35,000. Our factor it is 3.14. So the factor will be located from the table, anti-log table, the present value of entity of one representing number of year corresponding to estimated useful life of the year. If we check table, under this table 3.14 it is located against 10%. So we will now apply 10% and one more rate. We require two rate here, 10% and another rate 12%, and get a positive NPV or negative NPV. It means we have initial investment 1,10,000. We require here above 1,10,000 using one discounting factor rate, and below 1,10,000 by using one rate. Okay. By using of this 10% and 12% rate, now we prepare one table according to 10% rate, according to 12% rate. Here we prepare one table under this first mention year 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 year cash inflow, mention here 4 year cash inflow, first year, second year, third year, 4 year. Then here we find out discounting factor rate according to 10%. This is the value. Then this value you multiply with cash inflow, as it is same. According to 12% we have to require discounting factor. This for every year discounting factor. First year 0.893, second year 0.797, third year 0.712, the next year 0.636. According to this discounting factor you multiply cash inflow, then we have value for regarding 10% and 12%. Here you can check our total present value of cash inflow. According to 10% we have 1,12,720. This is higher of our initial investment. Our initial investment is 1,10,000, and then according to 12%, the total present value of cash inflow, it is 1,08,440. This is below of our initial investment. Initial investment our 1,10,000. So after that we use one formula for calculating internal rate of return. The formula is lower discounted rate. We have lower discounted rate 10%. Then present value of lower discounted rate. According to present value of lower discounted rate, we have total present value 1,12,720 we mentioned here. Then minus initial investment. Initial investment our 1,10,000 we mentioned here 1,10,000, and divided by a present value of lower discount rate. According to lower discount rate, our total present value of cash inflow, it is 1,12,720. Then minus present value of higher discount rate. According to higher discount rate here 12%. According to this, total present value of cash inflow, it is 1,08,440 you mentioned here. Then multiply higher discount rate minus lower discount rate. Higher discount rate, it is our 12%, and lower discount rate, it is 10%. So 12 minus 10, it is 2. After solving this information, last our final answer, it is 11.27. So this 11.27, it is our internal rate of return. This is all about for this lecture. Thank you.